Yo,
Can
dude,
you
can you
hear
hear
me?
me?
David Lee Scales.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, is my voice even crystalline, even more crystalline than it was last week?
I can't tell. I'd have to go side by side.
I think it's pretty good. I
Is
think
it?
I'm getting the muffler thing even better positioned every time.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Have you noticed with the mic and the headphones, you can hear more than you can without the headphones on? Like it's hypersonic hearing.
it is true. It is true. It makes me want to wear them all the time.
I honestly pick up noise from like downstairs. I can hear my mom and Lauren having a full conversation downstairs, which isn't close at all. It's just, and again, it's stuff that like I didn't even know they were talking if I didn't have the headphones on.
You know what this is looking like? It's becoming.
What?
I think we could enter the Marvel universe with this of two podcasters who wear headphones around and develop hypersonic hearing. We could hear all kinds of stuff.
It's our superpower.
It is. Two podcasters save the world.
What would we do for the betterment of humanity with that superpower?
First, I would go up to Santa Monica and stand on the street outside the World Surf League offices and listen very carefully to what Jesse Miley Dyer and Eric Logan are planning for Portugal.
And do what with the information?
Put it on Beach Grit.
Oh, see, so surf journalism is what you would do.
Exactly. I would do my job. I would do my job better.
Amazing. Wow. I was thinking my immediate like brain went to nefarious. I'm going to listen for people's PIN numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, would I really? Am I stealing people's identities? Is that what I do? No. What good could you do with hypersonic hearing?
We could also go to what could we do good with hypersonic hearing? This is a great question. Like if this was your only power and you had to do good, of course, we're superheroes. We're not super villains, right?
Yeah.
Then I think we would like going standing outside the White House and listening in. That's probably not that helpful, is it? It's probably all fairly dull talk.
Ultimately, I think we have to convince the CIA of our supersonic hearing. They would then give us a job and we would then go work for them to gather intelligence.
But what if our job for them was to bomb innocent civilians? What if it was just like calling in drone strikes on families and whatnot?
What they do with the information we provide them, I don't think we're liable for. That's on them at that point. We're just paid to do a job. You know?
Well, this is exciting though. This is I think going to be an exciting come up for both of us when we're part of the Marvel universe, getting paid Marvel wages, Marvel universe wages.
I'm fine with that part.
Yeah.
That factors in actually to a listener email later in the show.
Great.
I think it'll be a little bit suspicious when we're walking around with these headphones on and a microphone.
That's okay. I mean, look at how Spider-Man looks when he's walking around.
That's true.
Like
he's identifiable.
All heroes look suspicious. Superman in his big cape.
Not exactly incognito.
No. We have to like go into a phone booth though and put our headphones on and the microphone.
I like if that is what happens, then they won't even recognize that I am David and you are Chaz simply because we have the headphones on. Clark Kent takes his glasses off and all of a sudden nobody knows who he is.
It took me this long though to realize the supersonic hearing. I thought it was the headphones. No, it's the microphone.
Yeah.
The microphone is picking up everything, but then putting it.
The headphones are delivering it, but the microphone is picking it up.
But you need them both. You need them both. The microphone without the headphones.
Yeah, of course.
You're like stuck.
It's still, I've been using it now for, weeks. I don't know how many weeks, but it still trips me out. Like right now I plugged it in and I could hear my jacket rustling together and stuff like that. But the recording doesn't pick it up. It's just, you can hear it.
I mean, that's because we're superheroes though.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
So speaking of other superheroes, our buddy Justin J, who has the podcast called The Plug.
Sure do.
How good is this book that I'm holding?
Phenomenal. It is a phenomenal book filled with phenomenal pictures.
It is 1,000 photos. In fact, here's one of Kelly and one of Rob side by side.
High five.
Yeah, but not quite that moment, but so Justin J, it's 1,000 photos from 10 years in Hawaii. It's called HI1K. This is the coffee table book, but he's been doing a podcast for a couple of years now called The Plug, and we are now distributing it through our website and everything else, surfsplendorpodcast.com. Anyways, he gets A-list guests. I told you last week that he had Nathan Florence. This week he has Tinker Hatfield.
I mean, Tinker Hatfield. How do you get stinking Tinker Hatfield? For those who don't know, Tinker Hatfield basically invented the modern tennis shoe.
and specifically the Jordan is his big claim to fame.
Yeah.
So he's been with Nike forever, for his whole career, basically. But the Jordan was his kind of for any shoe brand, the Jordan is it. And so he was the one who invented that. And he's the one, I think he made like 20 of them or so. Anyways, Tinker Hatfield surfs.
Who knew? Well, guess what? Guess what? I know Tinker Hatfield's son-in-law.
Do you really?
No.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Through
See,
the
that's
wife?
No. Through my own stuff. I think he's his son-in-law.
What does he do something related to surfing or?
Yeah, he was at Red Bull.
Oh, okay.
When I was working on the Jamie O'Brien film.
Gotcha.
But the wife knew him too independently.
Well, Ryan Harris, surfboard shaper Ryan Harris out of the South Bay, mentored under Tinker, like in college. He went to college up in Oregon. Tinker's up there, I guess. And so there's a connection there too. But yeah, Tinker surfs, and Justin interviewed him. So
great name, Tinker Hatfield.
Dude, seriously.
I don't know that there's been a better name, and especially for a cobbler, which is ostensibly what he is.
Totally.
Yeah.
Where you would think he would be a hat maker, right?
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
Wow. What is a hat maker called again? It's a
millionaire.
Milner. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's what we want to do. I do want to discuss, or at least direct people to Justin's podcast. And we figured the easiest way to do that would be to give away another book, the HI1K book. I've got all of our paid subscribers plugged into this Wheel of Fortune style app in my phone.
Are you doing it right now?
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, this
I'm
is
simply
thrilling.
Pushing it. The wheel is spinning.
This is like better than Vegas.
Going to reveal a winner.
The wheelofnames.com. Keith Kyle. Keith Kyle, you have just won a phenomenal coffee table book.
Yeah, you have. This thing's amazing. Do you have a favorite Justin J photo? When you think of Justin J photos, can you think of one that stands out to you?
I really like his rap stuff, to be honest. I love his surf stuff too, but out of his surf stuff, I would say there's a picture with Nathan Fletcher, I do believe. He's probably at the start of the book there.
I could think of a few of the Nathan Fletcher photos that I've seen of his.
Yeah.
Obviously you guys have used a few of those photos on Beach Grit repeatedly.
Sure have.
Dane Reynolds photos and stuff, but Dane and Bruce looking opposite ways, I think, with a girl in the mix or something.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite right there. Yeah.
My favorite is the Julian Schnabel having a conversation with Dustin Barca, and Schnabel's in his PJs as he always is.
Yep.
And he's just got his finger like this, and there's a butterfly randomly sitting on it.
Yep.
And nobody's talking about the butterfly. They're just having a conversation, but he somehow is holding a butterfly is resting on his finger.
That's an epic shot. I told you about staying in the Pink Palace.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
It's great. It's great.
All right. Well, hey, Keith Kyle, I'll email you. We'll get that book out to you. Justin will send it directly. Another bit of news from last week. I'm going to read you a headline. Legendary surfboard artist steps away from industry to care for ailing dad. Looks to grumpy locals for help! !
It's a sad story, but maybe inspirational somewhere at the end. Hopefully.
Maybe. What is the story?
So what's his actual title? He is not a glasser.
Laminator.
Yeah, laminator, legendary laminator. Who does he laminate boards for?
A who's who, basically. Yeah. So he works
his name is A Kook Named Mike.
Exactly.
Full name, his Christian name.
That's what his parents named him.
Yeah.
Big Mike, aka Mike Delaney. He works out of Pure Glass in Costa Mesa. So Pure Glass is a glass house laminating facility. They're also retail board building supplies. Basically, you can buy blanks, resin, all that sort of stuff. And then they do have board bags and fins and a few other things as well that regular surfers, but they laminate for basically
everyone. In Southern California.
Everybody, yeah. Blake Peters at Panda Surfboards actually has a shaping bay there. There's a few people who have shaping bays there. And I think they have a machine too, so they cut boards. And then a lot of people send their shaped boards. Timmy Patterson sends boards there. Mayhem has boards laminated there. Hobie. Roberts up in Ventura has boards laminated down there. And so they, and tons of others that I'm not even remembering, but everybody, who's who.
And so, so Mike, though, had to step away or advertised that he needs to step away because father is ailing with Parkinson's, I do believe, advanced stage Parkinson's, lives on the East Coast. Is it? Where is it?
South Carolina.
South
Yeah.
Carolina. And so he has made the tough decision to, yeah, basically step away from work and go back there. But being a surfboard laminator, ain't like there's a giant 401k or a massive savings account. I mean, let's be honest, for like below the very tippy top level, I'm sure everybody's working for money, but out of love too, right? Like people are in this business industry because they're passionate about it. And so when he steps away, got to figure out, man, I'm gonna have to get a new job out in South Carolina. And also I need a little, cushion. And so, yeah, went public with it and put a GoFundMe up, which has been, you talked about it on Surf Splendor or Spit with Scott Bass. I wrote about it at Beach Grit. And I do think it's for all that we get from, and I like the sort of grumpy attitude of, there were some commenters in Beach Grit, which I understand, right? Like go fund yourself kind of thing, right? Like this isn't, life is not a charity, et cetera, et cetera. Except I think we've all benefited from, or my take is we've all benefited from the work of people like Mike Delaney for a way lower cost than we actually should be paying. I mean, I will fall on the side that surfboards are as much pieces of art, each one, as they are athletic pieces of athletic equipment. I mean, more, and I mean, way more art than athletic equipment, unless you're riding a wave storm or something.
Yeah.
And we have never adequately paid, surfers I think are notoriously cheap of like, I'll just, I'll what? I mean, they honestly basically cannot raise the price of surfboards, right? Because surfers will not pay it, which is all fine and good as part of the industry. But yeah, when we can help as a community, why don't we?
I fully agree with you. The sentiment of the grumpy people, I guess, on the Beach Grit comments who were saying like, oh, go fund yourself, I agree lots of times when I see GoFundMe's, I do have that take as well, which is adapt to the times and, find a way to make a living and to take care, all that sort of stuff. Like you're responsible. Yeah, you're responsible for your own kind of outlook, whatever. But I don't feel that way with this one, specifically because being involved in the surfboard world, I'm aware that the system is so broken. And specifically living in Southern California, the cost of living has raised so much in the time that Mike Delaney's been doing that for 20 years. I think even 20 years ago was probably prohibitive to like own a home here if you were living, if you were working any regular job. But he could at least, make ends meet and have some surplus and maybe save and stuff like that. At this point, surfboard costs have not gone up. There's no more profit involved in surfboards than there was then. And living costs have gone up so high. And what you said is key, is that people like him, people who kind of run the surfboard industry, and it exists today because of these people, they are doing it out of passion. It is strictly a passion project. The reason why pricing has never gone up is a complex system and it is broken. And so, yes, they need to charge more for surfboards, but we don't currently. And the real world kind of cost of that is that these laminators who have been doing something for our benefit for some of them 50, 60 years are finding themselves in these positions later in life where they have a precarious financial situation. And I'm totally down to try to help and to rally the troops and to try to make up for it at this point, because again, it was a passion project that made sense a lot of the time along the way financially. And or even if it didn't make sense, it made more sense then than it does now. But at this point, it's like they've committed to this thing for life and the cost of living has just outpaced them, And so they find themselves in these positions and it's like, dude, we've benefited so greatly. Mike Delaney, he's been a listener of the show and he's chimed in and I see him occasionally. He's never asked for anything once. He's never said, hey, can you interview me and profile me? Can you interview Pure Glass and profile Pure Glass or any of these board builders that I work with? Can I get a wetsuit hookup? He's never asked for anything at all. You know what I mean? Just like constantly doing the work day in and day out. And that's what so many board builders are like that I know. And I mean, I'd be happy today if we could just mandate surfboards need to be $2,000.
Yeah.
And everybody in that industry gets a raise times 2, and then by the way, they still would be underpaid.
Yeah.
But that's really what needs to happen. So
I mean, totally true. And again, of course, like the person who's like, oh man, like I'm having trouble getting by too. How am I going to pay $2,000 a board all down the line? Like, get it, understand, but it really is. I mean, especially if you want the quality that those guys
Yes.
produce, I mean, it is an artisan thing, right? They
Yeah.
are artisans, and we don't pay, other people we expect artisanal work for. I don't think, you don't say, spend hours doing this thing, and I'm going to give you, basically $2 an hour.
Right.
I want the
Totally.
best. I want the best, and you are the best, and I'm going to pay you $2 an hour.
Yeah. And the reality is, Mike and a number of other people in the industry could have elected to go work a different job. Construction pays more. You know what I mean? There's a lot of other opportunities they could do that are kind of that style of labor jobs that they can earn more money doing. And they elected not to because they love the surf industry. And I love that about them. And so, yeah, absolutely. I have no problem helping. And by the way, going to help your parents, your ailing parents later in life is a noble thing to do.
It sure
And
is.
he could easily decline that offer and continue doing what he's doing, but no, he's not declining the offer. He's going to do the noble work. And so I think that's worth kind of getting behind and supporting in and of itself. So
Where can people go? Where can people go to toss a little money in?
we'll do it on surfsplendorpodcast.com. I'll post the hyperlink to the GoFundMe. You've already posted it on beachrit.com. It is currently in my bio link on Instagram at Surf Splendor. So if you're on your phone all the time, that's probably the easiest way to find it. Just click over and throw in some money, and
Anything.
yeah,
Anything.
totally anything, because I know how many people listen to this show. If half of them gave $5, half of you listening right now gave $5, it would exceed the goal that Mike has set for that GoFundMe, and it would go a long way. Again, financial stress is the greatest stress, and it undercuts all of your kind of contentment and happiness in all other ways, So if you could just give the gift of like letting somebody enjoy the time with their ailing parents, that's the gift for $5.
Yep.
So go do that. Mike Delaney, lots of love, and Pure Glass family, lots of love. Lots of feedback about Zeke Lau and the interference that we talked about in the early rounds of the Sunset event.
Was it pro Zeke or anti Zeke?
Most of it was anti Zeke.
And
yeah, I'm going to read one email to you. Says, hey, all, I know you're a fan of villains because it brings entertainment to the paltry viewing experience that the WSL provides. So we should all appreciate Zeke for playing that part. I guess that's pro Zeke in a way. It goes on to be anti Zeke. But I will state that he absolutely knew that he did not have priority over Rio. He was just using that as an excuse to play the victim instead of own up to his own mistake. Rio obviously knew that the priority had switched. Leo Fioravanti admitted that he knew priority had switched. So Zeke is acting like he's the only person in the lineup who didn't know. Further, just look back at the wave that he burns Rio on. He checks over his shoulder before committing to the paddle, but Rio hadn't started paddling for the wave yet. So Zeke thought that, he was in the clear. He turns, drops in, and then the moment that he sees Rio behind him, he pulls out. If he truly thought that he had priority, he would have just surfed the wave. So live by the sword, die by the sword. But he shouldn't be crying that he lost when he's the one of the most notorious people on tour for rule bending and getting dirty, especially knowing that this was his own dumb mistake. Keep up the work.
Okay, so I hear you, kind listener. I hear what you're saying here but why would he? So he just made a mistake. That's what this listener is saying, that Zeke made a mistake. Zeke paddled for a wave that he shouldn't have paddled for. But didn't Zeke not need that wave?
Zeke, correct. Zeke, so that's another thing that a lot.
Zeke
when I
thought he was doing something for Leo, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like if he thought he was doing something for Leo, it's still dumb, but it's not, or a mistake.
So no, Zeke, I went back and watched this interaction just so I could fully understand it. He was hounding Rio, tracking him, paddling near him. and trying to keep him off of waves for Leo, yes.
Yes.
But on that specific wave, he didn't think Rio was going.
Yeah.
He takes one paddle for it. It's like a whitewash crumble. And Rio's almost paddling straight out to like go over it. And he kind of turns sideways. Zeke's in a better position, looks over at Rio. Rio doesn't look like he's paddling because he's sideways and the whitewater's coming at him. So Zeke ignores Rio at that point, commits to the wave. Rio does like a whitewash takeoff without Zeke knowing. Zeke gets to his feet, and as he's bottom turning, sees Rio at the bottom of the wave below him, and that's when he kicks out. So Zeke wasn't trying to pull priority on Rio. He just didn't think Rio was going, and he was just going to surf the wave for the heck of it because there was only like 15 seconds left or whatever.
Yeah.
When he sees Rio, to this listener's point, he knows he doesn't have priority, so he like freaks out and jumps off the wave. If he thought that he actually had priority, of course, he would have just surfed the wave.
It's definitely true. A couple more points though. The part of priority that's you impede the progress, I think, is important here, where I think it could be argued that Zeke did not impede Rio's progress at all.
Rio never even tried to progress. Rio just threw his hands up like, hey, what the heck? You know?
Yeah, I mean, you should actually have to, if you're playing the priority rule, that's fine, but the judges should actually take a hard look of you throwing your arms up and flopping, essentially, because Rio essentially flopped on that wave, right?
Totally.
You flopping, did you get fouled or did you not get fouled, right? They should have looked and seen how far ahead Zeke was when Zeke kicked out, what had happened to the wave, et cetera, where I think the idea that dropping, especially at a beach like Sunset, like sure, at places like Pipe when you're mostly sitting shoulder to shoulder, or Chopu or whatever, right? Like there's a clear, you're getting in the way. At a place like Sunset or Bells for that matter, when you can be, or Margaret River, when you could be way kind of down the beach on a wave and it could still be deemed priority, especially when you're running 4-man overlapping heats. To me, the judges have to do a better job of the impeding progress. It wasn't even addressed here.
I know. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know how to solve for it because
the judges should just be more like it should be explained. We believe that Zeke impeded, even if you disagree, that's fine, but make the judgment call. These are all judgment calls, of course, but also, okay, back to Zeke being a bad guy. Love that, right? Zeke should play this up. Zeke should realize at this point that he has lost the love of the surf fan. Like there is more, whether it's, I don't know, deserved or not, more ire directed at Zeke than at other surfers. And of course we could point to him, paddling like crazy around John, that one contest. We could point to him winning the Ultimate Surfer, like the World Surf Leagues. I think the Ultimate Surfer could probably be put up at some point as the stupidest show ever made. I mean, truly an abomination of such degree that it should live on forever. There should be a monument. There should be a little museum at Surf Ranch that is dedicated to the worst show ever made. But anyway, for whatever the reason, Zeke is not well loved. No. Zeke should shoulder into that, man. Like if you're not going to be well loved, then be the bad guy.
Yeah, so when I said there was a bunch of feedback about Zeke this week and it was mostly negative, people reminded me of the reasons why that sentiment has, become.
What else is there besides the John paddle?
There was the thing like 2 years ago. It was also at Bell's. Jacob Wilcox was a wild card in the event, and it was a free surf, and he burned Jacob in the free surf. And I think Jacob took to Instagram, posted the video clip, and said, like,
"Don't come to my home and burn me."
Yeah, I'm a local here. Like, what are you doing? You're just burning people in the free surfs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and there was a number of things like that over the years that Zeke is just kind of like doing his own thing and not giving a crap. And that's the role that he played on the Ultimate Surfer as well. So yes, but in terms of if he is that guy, or whether he is or whether he isn't, that's what the sentiment of the public is, and he should know that and embrace it. So after this happened at Sunset, he should have gone on Instagram, posted the clip, and ranted and complained about it. You know what I mean?
He's being quiet on this one. That's the thing. Zeke crying about it. I didn't hear a cry from Zeke, which is the bummer.
Well, we saw him rush the tower, and then the cameras of course skitter away.
I mean, the embarrassing. Not the rushing the tower, the camera skittering away. But aside from that, there was no Instagram, as far as I was aware of. No Instagram story, no public statement from Zeke saying I was ripped off. He fully should have thrown such vitriol at the judges and at the World Surf League and at everybody. I mean, Zeke is almost positioned to be Bobby Martinez minus the professional surfing sucks angle.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
where I'd like, I'm in this. This is awesome, but it is broken. All the judges are against me. Like the chip on the shoulder thing, we need it.
Well, for so long, people compared him to Sonny Garcia because he has the same kind of power style, power approach. He's a more dynamic surfer than Sonny, I would say, in certain ways. But Sonny had personality.
Yeah.
And
in
Zeke
spades.
doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, so he's getting painted with some of the negativity that Sonny was painted with.
Without
he's just
enjoying it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Without making it his own, without branding it, without leveraging it.
Because Sonny loved, or I don't know if he loved it, but when I talked to Sonny about that, about his image, he enjoyed his image. I could tell in chatting with him, right? Like he did not mind being the bad guy and being, a protector for things that he believed in and all those sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
Where Zeke also needs to sort of have a cause. Zeke doesn't really have a cause right now. I think Sonny had the West Side Oahu, local boy, like all those baked in causes. Yeah. Where Zeke, if I recall, grew up playing football at Punahou High School. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I think Zeke is from.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think his dad is a football coach, so Zeke is like, I don't know if he's well to do, but Zeke is like from a, from what I know, a fine, normal middle class teaching family. Sure. He doesn't have that
supportive parents, at least.
Yeah, supportive parents, all that kind of thing. So he's going to have to find out some cause to make his own, right? Like, who is Zeke here for?
Yeah, I don't know. At least he just needs to at least recognize that
he's not
leveraging the public sentiment leverages his profile or increases his profile. You know what I mean? And so he's not even aware of that at this point. He's just like letting his surfing do the talking, but his surfing's in the bottom tier of the tour, so nobody really cares.
Nobody wants to listen to his surfing.
Exactly.
I mean, again, World Surf League as an entertainment brand, right? Like, how do these guys? Of course, I don't expect them to be big worldwide wrestling fans, but have you not seen the heel and think that's the more popular guy, right? If I just be a better heel, then I can win people over or get people to boo me really loudly, or at least they're doing something.
Totally. Because in a tour of 32 where everybody gets very, very, very little screen time,
sure,
you got to do something.
I mean, how are you going to stand out? Imagine too, if Zeke got dropped by, who's he with, Quicksilver?
Yeah.
Get dropped by Quick, start riding for Bad Boy Club.
Yeah.
Just like there's a place for you, Zeke.
Exactly.
Get some black flies.
That'd be amazing.
How good
Bad Boy Club made a little resurgence like
they did 7
years ago. They sent me some gear.
Yeah, I think their license got repurchased or something. But then Bad Boy Club, if you're listening, come back. We
could use it. We could use you. We didn't have a clothing sponsor for this show.
If they got what would Bad Boy have to give you to get the iconic Bad Boy logo tattooed on your bicep?
Oh my gosh.
Like
$1 million.
Really? $1 million bucks?
Yeah.
What if they gave you
my body is a temple?
What if they gave you 5% of the company?
No.
No.
The way that company's been run doesn't give me a lot of confidence that there will be a profit to reap from that.
Bad Boy, if you're listening, I will get that tattoo and actively support the brand. I will be lifetime sponsorship, Bad Boy Club. Get the tattoo for 2% of the company.
My skin has more value than yours though, because I have no tattoos.
That's why I give you 5%. I'm only taking 2%.
I need a cash payout.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a percentage.
I'm taking 2%. I'll get the tattoo, lifetime sponsorship, and actively promote the brand. I will be
considering that considering the 2% probably isn't worth much. I have a feeling you're going to get a phone call and a request to get that tattoo.
I've got it. That's all it is.
Sweet.
Yep.
Let's do it. Chaz@beachgrid.com, by the way.
Yep.
So the Sunset Pro ended after our last show. It's kind of old news at this point. We don't need to do a deep dive, but I am curious to know, because I haven't heard anybody talk about it. What were your thoughts on the surfboard trophies?
Oh my goodness. Who shaped them?
I have no idea. I just saw the look.
They had to be some local artist, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, so the idea, let's broaden this out. Let's broaden it out to the.
You don't want to offend the artist directly.
Well, because I don't want to offend that particular artist. It's fine. They looked beautiful, right? But I have a problem in general with surfboards as trophies. See
Mm,
the Teen Choice Awards, see anytime a surfboard, see even when somebody used to get a custom, basically wall hanger Jerry Lopez board
it was a pipe master
for winning the Pipe
usually.
Masters.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Do they still? I don't think they still do, right?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So the idea, and we barreled in all this probably more than once. The idea of a wall hanging surfboard is awkward. I'm not a wall hang surfboard guy. When you win a surfboard as a trophy, you're forcing somebody into being a wall hanger and or having that thing just sit in the garage. Like surfboards are not trophies.
Yeah, I
Everybody
agree.
it should be a full on never do it again. Nobody
Yeah,
ever do it again. You like imagine what those teen choice surfboards are doing in people's houses. They're like
they take up
broken
so much space.
so much space and
Yeah,
something like maybe it has sentimental value. Like of course you won the Sunset Pro, like you are a Sunset champion, you have this trophy, as it's important, but what the heck, it's going to take up so much of your dumb house. It's like looks so like no,
yeah.
surfboards are not trophies. And I'm talking to you too, Jerry Lopez. Like you should have shaped, I mean, I'm sure he did, he shaped functional boards, right? They weren't like artistic
Well,
flare things like these
correct.
ones.
They were functional. His shapes are functional, but oftentimes for those trophies, they would then adorn them with
Yeah,
artwork that made you not want to surf it at that point.
precisely. Like if Jerry should have just made them yellow and red,
Yeah.
kind of lightning bolts, whatever,
I mean,
like
that would be an epic trophy. It's like,
that you could surf.
hey, whoever, Leonardo Fioravanti, I'm sure that you don't have a single fin 70s pipeliner in your quiver. We
Here
are
you
going
go.
to give you the best version of one for
Precisely.
you to ride.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not to hang on your dang wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No surfboard trophies.
Yeah.
No,
All
no.
right. Well,
That's my feeling on that.
another little tidbit behind the scenes from the Sunset event was Matthew McConaughey hanging out with all the industry people.
Did you see it or did you just hear about it?
Both. Yeah, I saw photos of him like randomly in people's Instagrams, like hanging out in the backyard with the Hurley guys or whatever. I don't even know who it was actually.
It's still super funny to me, the funniest, that surfing after all these years and after being let's just a relatively popular thing, right? It's not like darts or bowling or something, right? Like where it is a sexy, glamorous Malibu, people do it, celebrities surf, like, but surf still gets so giddy. It is so neglected stepchild where if a famous person dares don the door, everybody is just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
McConaughey's here.
Believe it. Yeah. Like, how could you be so like, you think that Roger Goodell, when the Super Bowl happens and Jay-Z comes in to sit down, that Roger Goodell is going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my, pinch me. Should I go? No, I should go say, should I? Jay-Z is here. That's the way surfing acts, honestly, about even the most D-level celebrity rocks up. Like, did you see, I haven't heard yet, but did you listen to the Dak Shepard, Kelly Slater podcast?
I did not.
So Dak Shepard, Armchair Expert, I think is his podcast, right? It's popular, yeah?
I have no idea.
I think it's a popular, I get the feeling that it's a popular podcast.
Yes.
Interviewed Kelly, Eric Logan, like first thing, Instagram, just gushing, like, thank you. Oh my goodness.
It's a must listen, is what he said.
It's a must listen, but like gushing about it too, right?
Yeah.
The fact that Dax Shepard, great podcaster, I'm sure. Nothing against Dax Shepard, but also let's be charitable and say he's a C-list celebrity.
Yeah.
A C-list celebrity interviews
he's only C-list because he's married to a B-list.
Yeah, married to exactly. Yeah. C-list, married to a B-list. Would have been D-list on his own.
Yeah.
Married to a B-list, settles into C-list. Nothing against Dax.
No.
He's a great guy. I'm sure the podcast is wonderful. But a C-list celebrity interviews surfing's crown jewel and has surfing's chief executive officer gushing, like, which is, yeah. So just a note to especially the professional surfers out there and or anybody in the surf industry, for pity's sake, when a celebrity enters the room, don't everybody get all nervous. Everybody just, oh, Matthew McConaughey is here. Of course he's here. It's Sunset Beach is a great contest. I'd be there. It's like a good thing to watch. Just hangs out, whatever. Like, but the giddiness, like I didn't see it. I only heard the giddiness. But it comes out like Stab did something super giddy about it. Like,
oh, did they?
Stab did. It was like they just couldn't help themselves, right? It was like in the byline for their Sunset Story plus Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the Kelly, just to fully pull back the curtain, Kelly, the reason why he's doing a bunch of promotion right now is for Make or Break, the Apple series, right?
Yes.
And Apple not only has a partnership with the WSL now, but Eric Logan is an executive producer on the series Make or Break. So he is, maybe he thinks it's must listen, but he's also pushing and amplifying the promotion of the show that he will ultimately make money on.
And
so
Kelly, that's why Kelly's,
about.
I think that's why it's a little, I think we can pull the curtain back even more. I'm not exactly sure 100%, but I'm fairly certain that Kelly also has an ownership stake in the World Surf League that came with the sale of the wave pool.
Yeah.
Because I know other people who are part owners in that wave pool who have a share in the World Surf League. So I'm certain that Kelly Slater has like a chunk of the WSL.
The whole thing is suspect to me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, of course it's all fine.
I'm apprehensive to say anything because I don't know like legally what ramifications are, but it's very suspect. And with a little bit of hindsight, we're going to look back at this time and just be like, what the F happened? Like, CEO of the WSL, how is it that, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything.
I'll say it. He's incentivized on other properties so he's personally gaining from things the company is doing, right? It'd be like if Tim Apple was
Tim Cook.
Yeah, Tim Cook. When Trump called him Tim Apple.
I don't.
Yeah. When Tim Apple was, it'd be like if he was executive producer on whatever hot Apple TV show. And so was actively leveraging his being CEO of Apple to other positions where he's going to find, benefit financially. Here's
what's worse. Okay, yes, that makes sense because that is an Apple show. Here's where I see the problem is. The CEO of the WSL should be doing everything to promote the WSL, right?
Yeah.
I've seen things where there's opportunities to do that, but that opportunity does not happen. But the CEO of the WSL's name ends up being as an executive producer over on this tangential property that is no longer, I don't know. I don't want to say too much, actually.
Really? You think there's no, like, no, Eric Logan is like, I mean, he's a con man. It's just that he's a flim flam man.
Make or Break. My point is Make or Break isn't a WSL property. I think there's opportunities for him for them to work together with that property and for it to be a part of the WSL, but it's not. It's tangential, but he's still executive producer on that property essentially.
But sure, but I mean, I think both he and Jessie Miley Dyer are straight dipping into the WSL kitty for their own financial benefit or their own personal benefit, right? Both of them are heavy self-promoters. Both of them are doing what they're doing, winning awards, doing this and that, the other thing, where sure, they're ostensibly working hard to make the World Surf League shine, but they're, I think, from all looks and appearances, they're working equally hard and if not harder to make themselves shine.
Yeah.
Like when you think of, I don't think of CEOs or chief of sports or whatever in other sports very often. Nobody does, right? I mean, you think of, I think, Roger Goodell for football. You think of Adam Silver for basketball, but they're not. Adam Silver and Roger Goodell are not ever out self-promoting. They're either promoting the league or like kind of being quiet or promoting aspects of the league. Eric and Jessie are regularly promoting themselves or things that they will benefit from.
Right. Are you watching Make or Break?
I haven't yet. Have you?
Do you plan to?
I read JP's
Yeah.
first 4 episodes, and he said the last 4 are better. So I might watch the last 4. His take on If You're a Surf Fan, I thought was probably the way I had felt it. Like, if you're a surf fan and we're paying attention through the year, you won't see anything in the first 4 episodes that you didn't already know.
Okay. Do you got to address something off to the side of the camera?
Oh, can you see my eyes shoot
Yeah.
up to the?
Yeah, we can take a break if you need to.
Nope, all good.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny, like with the Kelly Slater interview with Dax Shepard, that's something I would have gobbled up 4 years ago. Make or Break would have gobbled it up 4 years ago. At this point, I really don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I was actually excited they were making a season 2 of Make or Break because I did like season 1. But in the roster of things that are available for me to watch this weekend, it's low.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not going to get around to it. And the Kelly Slater thing, I had a nice DM from somebody this morning, which summed up how I felt about it. They said, they sent me the post and they go, I don't care what Kelly has to say anymore. And in addition, what was nice about it was he said, your interview with Torrin Martin, Joel Toot, or Luke Shepherdson, like those are such more interesting, like robust people that I learned things from and that I want to know about. At this point, I don't want to know about Kelly anymore.
I mean, we've reached Kelly Slater saturation, I think.
Maybe.
There's, and obviously Beach Grit is heavily responsible for part of that. And he was it's a problem of the World Surf League, I think, of not elevating characters. They have Kelly, and so they keep pushing Kelly out. And Kelly, whether it's because he's benefiting financially or he just likes to do it, takes that call, right? Kelly is the one that crosses over to the mainstream. And so instead of the World Surf League and Logan, instead of like trumpeting his own success at various things, should be really working on building other stars, right? There's like a real lack of star power in or undeveloped in. And once Kelly leaves, there he goes, right? So great, I get that Kelly translates to the mainstream. Start working on Fioravanti, or the ones that you think, okay, this guy has a shot too, right? He's well spoken, he has interesting opinions, he's who's going to be the person who I don't know, stands in the gap once Kelly's gone. And I don't see them developing one.
Yeah, no clue, to be honest with you. Nobody's even interested in sharing opinions. I don't know that anybody has that.
I mean,
interesting.
John as a dynamic surfer is really camera averse and would not be volunteering to do podcasts. I can't imagine, right?
No.
And then you got, I mean, who else?
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is John lives an interesting life, but like his views on the world and all that sort of stuff aren't that sensational, or aren't that like back in the day when we were growing up and watching surfing, Chris Ward, you know what I mean? Andy Irons.
Yes.
And even like Rob Machado, who's not sensational in any way. It was just, he's clearly living a very interesting life and has interesting reasons for why he's doing that. And I would love to hear an in-depth thing with him when I was growing up.
Yes.
Shane Dorian, all of them, like they all had these distinct personalities. Everything's just so much more homogenized now, and just tame, It's just tamer. It's not sensational anymore. And so I don't really want to hear a long form interview with Felipe Toledo or Gabriel Medina or any of them.
I mean, who with the stunning news this week that the World Surf League signed a ladder, got the official ladder of the World Surf League. Who is I've left it out of the press release part, but who is the surfer, the World Surf League surfer, who's going to be the face of that ladder company?
I have no idea. I don't look into it.
It's one of the Australians who...
Liam O'Brien.
Yeah, Liam
Jackson
O'Brien,
Baker.
I think it's Liam O'Brien.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's Liam O'Brien because he trained he was like an apprentice carpenter in Australia. And I'm thinking, my goodness, not only are you really scraping the bottom of the barrel for a brand partner here, I mean, it's great. I'm sure those ladders but it's literally a ladder, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is a ladder.
Yeah.
You made a big deal about signing a ladder company, and then that ladder is going to use an unknown-ish surfer,
right,
as the face of the brand because he apprenticed as a carpenter.
It's a tenuous connection.
I mean, but this is the level of, I think, boredom amongst who's going to rise? I mean, we talked about Zeke Lau.
He's
Zeke
going to
could
rise
rise.
up a ladder. That's the
Yeah.
whole analogy that they're showing. Liam O'Brien's the whole analogy that they're showing. Liam O'Brien's at the bottom rung, and he's going to make it to the top. By the way, not the top rung, because you're not allowed to stand on the first top 3 steps of the ladder. It's too dangerous.
He's going to make it to the
7th step.
7th step, 2 under the lower finals day cut.
Yep. But
Good
you can
job,
sit
Liam.
up there. If your feet are attached to the 3rd rung, you're just not allowed to put your feet on those top 2 rungs.
Yep.
Liam, be forewarned. I'm sure Liam knows this as the ladder representative.
As a carpenter.
Exactly. So moving along from WSL, dang it, we weren't supposed to talk WSL. How did we spend so much time on it?
We did, but that's okay.
Moving along, I got a listener email that he would like to hear our feedback on something. Said, "Hey David, love the show, mate. It has kept many a boring drive entertaining, plus a nice counterpoint to the Aussie podcasts like Ain't That Swell." I'm Australian, by the way. I was listening to the excellent Jamie Brissick interview with the founder of Patagonia, and he was telling a story about a guy who was a professional dog walker who would take 5 dogs out at a time, kind of an Alaskan sled style setup on his skateboard, having a great time at the park, getting paid $50 per dog. Yvon Chouinard's point was that you might go to university for 5 years, spend a ton of money, and end up hating what you do in the office. You might end up ditching all of that. Here's a guy who's got it all figured out, just walking dogs, skateboarding, making good money, and spending time outdoors. My question to you and Chaz is, Chaz touched on this a couple of episodes ago, that at some point, if you don't find your passion and doing what you love, you got to just throw it away and actually start working. You guys seem to have both worked in what you love, David with wine, Chaz with writing. So my question is doing what you love for money all that it's cracked up to be? And when is the point when you just give it all up and focus on grinding away? Is the founder of Patagonia oversimplifying a complex issue, like a lot of self-help type advice, and not being realistic? Apologize if you've been through this already. Keep up the work, lads. And P.S. Have you ever been called a Seppo by an Australian? And if so, how did it make you feel? Regards, Chris.
Chris.
Let's address. Have you ever been called a Seppo, and how did it make you feel?
I don't think to my face. I remember reading about it when I was a kid, and a younger man in the surf mags, and thinking, "Ooh, what's that?" And it would not make me feel any which way, except for, I mean, that's the thing though. As really, truth be told, as a cisgendered white American male, like, it's hard to really shame, because it's just, I think shame is just yep, Seppo, that's what I am, right? Like, those who get their feelings hurt, I suppose, if you get your feelings hurt for being called a name and you're a cisgendered white American male, then you've got a major malfunction. You should not ever have your feelings hurt for
you have
anything.
all the privilege in the world. Name should not hurt you. Every
bit of privilege has been ladled upon you. You're getting
not allowed
called
to
a
be
name.
Sensitive.
Yeah, you're not allowed. You are not allowed sensitivity.
Yeah, I've been called, and again, not to my face, but I'm sure like in email I have, like, I feel like I have been, and it does not offend me whatsoever. Nope. But I think he's probably asking because he had a conversation with a friend or something. It's like, is that offensive? Is it not offensive? I would say it's not offensive. You are allowed to call people that. You are allowed to call Seppos, and I don't think they should care if you call them that.
If they get offended, then it's on them.
Go wild, Chris, in Australia. Yeah. But more to his point is doing what you love for money all it's cracked up to be? And at what point do you give up trying?
I think it is. And I think, so the point you give up trying is when your will to do the work wanes, right? If there's an expectation, once you start getting bitter, I think that's when you quit, right? If you think, I am worth this much, I'm toiling away. Like, if I thought to myself ever, I see William Finnegan over there winning Pulitzer prizes and getting paid a lot more than me, I should be getting paid like William Finnegan, right? That sort of like looking over somewhere else and feeling bitter is the end, I think. Like, if you feel that, then hang it up, because what you love is no longer, it's not a healthy love anymore. It's been toxified by bitterness. Funny enough, I was reading, there's a new book came out. I think it's called what is it? Just Do Dear or something like that. Just Do, comma, Dear. Don't think. Maybe it's Don't Think Dear. That's probably what it is.
Don't think, just do.
Don't think. I mean, so it's George Balanchine, one of the great ballet choreographers, founded the School of American Ballet, et cetera, like a legend. That was his thing to his younger ballerinas when he was alive and kicking, was don't think, just do. So a student who came up under the ballet school there in New York just wrote a book. She got drummed out for, she felt she was body shamed or whatever. Like I read the first couple, went on and got a degree, and now she's writing about her time. And like, when you feel like this is not fair, right? Like this is an unfair thing that I'm in, and that bitterness seeps in, then get out and don't blame the thing. Things are what they are, right? Like if you've entered a world, if I've entered a writing world, want to make money off writing, me being bitter about not making as much, I put my head down and figure out ways to make it work, right? That's what you do, I think. In that, if you're going to make the thing you love a career, don't run straight at the I think, like the main bulk of it. Find a way in, find some way you can get in and make it your own, I think. And again, as soon as you stop loving it, or as soon as you get bitter, stop.
Well, it seems to me like what you're saying is once the money becomes in any way a factor for why you're doing it, that does kind of toxify it and contaminate it. Like you would do it whether there was money to attach to it or not, and probably did it for a very long time without any money, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's why I've got busted before for saying on the show, like, and people have taken it that, Beach Grit doesn't pay riders. Beach Grit absolutely pays its riders. I think it's very important to get paid, what you're worth for being a rider. But when you're starting, don't think I'm writing this essay and I'm expecting to get my market value. Build your market value, right? Like be unique enough, or have a interesting enough perspective, or a good enough skill, which takes time to hone. I think anything you love, like I'm sure if maybe it's not the same exact in wine, but like it'd be like expecting to have people pay you full pop when you're learning, when you're getting your palate down, right? When you're understanding things for the first time, like expecting, nope, my value is $800 an hour. That's what I expect to get paid while I'm going to learn to do this thing. Like people take themselves and their own, back to this ballerina, I didn't read this book, but they take their own like little singular perspective and stack it up against the industry and say, the industry is wrong, I'm the one who's right. Where screw you. Go, like, if you didn't make
prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong. Exactly. Become like, there's been hunchbacks in ballet who have been the most famous ballerinas in the world, because it's like, nope, you tell me I can't stand up straight and I can't do it, I will prove you wrong. If you have the will to prove somebody wrong, then you will eventually, I think.
I love how deep you've gotten into ballet, by the way.
Oh man, it's all
totally unexpected.
It's honestly the only thing I think about.
It's so funny. Well, I totally agree with you. I will add to it. As it related to wine, the example he gave, but more specifically and more importantly, like as it relates to podcasting, you know what I mean? Which I feel like is something I love doing and that I'm now earning money off of. I didn't earn money off of it forever. You know what I mean? And the amount of money that I currently make off of it is not enough to justify it, basically. So, but what I'll start by saying is that firstly, I have the privilege of being able to choose what I want to do. And so my parents did not have that privilege. My grandparents certainly didn't. Like the only reason I'm in a position to either work in wine or work in podcasting is because my parents did things they didn't want to do and then said, go ahead and go to college, we'll pay for it. And you can do whatever you want to do. But more importantly, if I don't succeed at any of it, I know I'm not going to starve.
Yeah.
I know that I will, my parents own property, essentially. My parents are not wealthy. So I'm not living, I don't have a trust fund, none of that. But it's like, they at least own property and I will at some point benefit from that. They would never let me starve. If I made all the worst decisions in the world, I can move back in. There's always a place for me. And they're not only forget about the finance. They're unconditionally loving and supporting of me. You know what I mean? So I make terrible decisions. I could go back and live with them and they will pat me on the back and feed me and take care of me. So there's a certain privilege and freedom that comes with that allows you to pursue your goals, which that extends to, they've always been supportive of my goals. Even when I've made, like, hey, I'm going to do this podcast thing and devote 40 hours a week to it. They're just like, sweet, we'll listen to every episode.
Yeah.
They never once said that was a waste of your time. Focus on getting an MBA,
Yeah.
So that is important to note because not everybody has those things. Secondly, not everybody is talented or entrepreneurial. So the person in your example who wants to explore their writing, they could spend 50 hours a week doing it and never make anything meaningful, but don't do it for the money, do it for yourself. And that's good enough. That should be good enough for you, but don't expect to ever make a living on it. The market will decide if you are talented, but there is the entrepreneurial thing matters too, because my older brother, super talented artist, way more talented at drawing and illustrating than I will ever be at anything that I do. He has zero entrepreneurial kind of spirit. He works for Disney. It's great because they pay him and he's had a career for 30 years with them and will until he retires, but doesn't have any. If he had any entrepreneurial spirit, he would be a millionaire by now. You know what I mean? So he has all the talent. So you need kind of both if you want to do what you love through the rest of your life without,
Totally. Well, and I think also to that point, I mean, self-fund while you're getting started, right? Like you didn't quit your job and become a podcaster.
No.
Like you self-funded your own dream, right? I mean, I taught English forever, right? While writing on the side. And I mean, I would spend hours and that's what I love to do. So I would do it while funding myself to do that until, the writing kind of paid for itself.
So talent, entrepreneurial, and then dogged, endless work.
Yep.
Which is things that people just do not consider. So I have had a day job through the 10 years I've been doing this podcast, and I still do.
Yeah.
So I always have had a paycheck every 2 weeks, plus a 401k, plus health benefits, all of that. So that's allowed me the freedom to explore the podcast. But the podcast has occupied at times 40 hours a week. And, learning, I never expected to earn off of it. And I had the talent didn't come initially. It's like probably took years and years and years to develop that muscle. But there's been times like listeners have no idea. There was times where it's Friday night, I'm in my 30s and working, editing, trying to figure out how to use editing software. Friday night when everybody else is out, probably getting paid more than me, getting laid more than me, late night Friday, I'm sitting on the sofa trying to figure these things out. You know what I mean? Endless hours of that type of work that just doesn't get seen, that you just do because you want to do the thing.
And
that's all it is.
That's exactly it. Like I work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
365 days a year.
Yeah.
Every single holiday. I wake up Christmas morning and open presents and then run to the computer and start working, right? Yeah. But I love to do it. And not all the time. Like sometimes you're like, I would rather be doing something else now, clearly. But yeah, I mean, you just do it. You do the work.
Yeah. I've had countless late nights, weekends on the sofa when I don't want to do it, that I still have to do it because I do it at a certain point, actually from the very beginning, felt an obligation to the audience that we created to where I got to get this episode out. You know what I mean? Or I'm sick and we got to record or whatever it is. And then in addition to that, buying things with my own money, equipment, things like that. Like I remember early days, all the early episodes I recorded with a video camera because I didn't have audio equipment, and I would just use the audio file off the video file or the audio track off the video file. But it's like, I couldn't justify spending $300 on microphones, because the thing wasn't generating any money. So you just use what you have. And so to answer the listener's question, if you're willing to do all of those things, then yes, you can do what you love.
Yep. And you can continue to love it.
Yeah. And maybe you will make money on it eventually, but maybe that money will never justify the amount of work done. Maybe it will, who knows? You just do it because you want to do it.
Doesn't matter.
That's all it comes down to. I've got a couple of listener line calls if you're curious.
I sure am.
Oh, actually, we brought up Kook or Curran last week, right?
Yes.
Kook and Curran, by the way.
Kook and Curran.
Kook and Curran. And it got a lot of feedback. People are chiming in. They like the concept. A couple of people presented other potential Kook and Currans. So we can revisit that a little bit. Here comes one from our beloved Animal Chin in San Clemente.
David Lee, Chaz, calling in from San Clemente, California. This is the Animal Chin with what I think is a Cougar Current. Quicksilver wetsuits. Unequivocally only see them on people who can't get to their feet, or Kelly Slater, Kanoa Igarashi, now Griffin Colapinto. But the most common person on a wave storm who can't get to their feet, or an oversized Hayden, is generally in like a 5 to 10-year-old back zip Quicksilver. I've never found them to be good suits. Curious what your thoughts are, boys. Thanks a lot.
Quicksilver wetsuits is an interesting one.
It's true though. It's really hard. I don't want to speak ill of the Quicksilver wetsuit, but Quicksilver wetsuits are bad wetsuits.
I had a one that was like a short. I've had two, I think.
Yeah. I
had a full zip cell wetsuit when that was a thing, and then a short leg long sleeve that fell apart initially, like immediately.
I mean, I've had the only suits in my life that have not gone more than one season and didn't even go one season were Quicksilver wetsuits.
I know. Well, so regardless of the quality of the suits, the Animal Chin has a point. I never see Quicksilver wetsuits on an intermediate surfer. I see them on the pros and I see them on beginners.
Because I think price point on a Quicksilver wetsuit is probably the best, right? So you can go into the shop and I think they have like still probably an $89 wetsuit. Maybe. And so if you're just getting started, and or surf schools, right? Or rental shops can buy Quicksilver wetsuits by the truckload because they're cheap.
Maybe.
And I mean, I honestly think it is the price point wetsuit.
Well, I'm sure they have a high-end suit too, though.
I think they do, but I think but who's going to use it, right? When everybody's experience is with the price point entry, who's going to go trust Quicksilver? And Quicksilver, if you're listening, prove me wrong. Not that I need or want a new wetsuit, but I would love to test one for more than a season and see if it actually lasts. Because in my experience, which I'm speaking the truth here, they have not lasted.
Well, so I've got a couple of wetsuit inquiries in the last few months for potential sponsors for this show. So, and I was wondering how we should integrate that. And so maybe that is the way we do it is we're not going to just pick one brand that we want to partner with. Let's go ahead and just offer it up to anybody and we'll try them all and we'll kind of speak on benefits of this versus that. That might be the way to integrate it.
If you want and you believe, I trust and hope that wetsuit manufacturers do believe in the product, right? Like at the end, if you're like, I don't think Quicksilver does believe in their wetsuit, right? Like I think Quicksilver makes a wetsuit because they're a surf company and it's something they can do and that you kind of have to do and whatever for them. But you never really get the feeling that Quicksilver is like, our wetsuit is a premium wetsuit.
Right.
Want to know who has a premium wetsuit? Across the hall from them, Billabong I've had Billabong wetsuits that last forever. Like
because they have graphene.
Yeah, graphene. I mean, of course they do. Of course they last forever. But like but I would love to speak honestly and openly about wetsuits. If you believe in your wetsuit, send it on in.
Well, we just got one. Did yours show up last week?
Sure did. I'm so excited to paddle out. It made it funny because I hadn't thought much. So do you want to lead the story?
No, go ahead.
So XL was recently purchased off of, I thought it was Quicksilver that initially had it, but it was Billabong, I think, that had XL in the as part of the brand portfolio. And then of course it goes to board riders. And so a small group of industry veterans purchased XL as their first thing out of, they're going to buy, I think, a couple more brands, right? Is the hope?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Seems like it. Yeah. But XL was their first buy and signed Sage Erickson as their first athlete. But so XL arrived and I don't think I've had an XL top before. And I guess now that I think about it, I have worn that thing for probably 6 summers straight. Like it's has never worn out. But I was thinking XL, you think of like, I don't know, Rip Curl, I don't think as much as a core wetsuit brand anymore because they do so many other things, so many soft goody stuff. But I suppose, you have Rip Curl, you have O'Neill, you have, the smaller ones like Hotline and what's the one down in San Diego, the fancy one?
Oh, Matus.
Matus. You have these ones, right? The corner is kind of more niche ones, but XL is a core wetsuit brand, like as core as it gets. Started as a wetsuit brand out of Hawaii, started by a guy from New Jersey, and I don't know how hasn't been theoretically my favorite wetsuit yet. So I'm happy to have one, and I'm happy to give it a whirl.
Yeah, good. Give it a shot. Give us true, real feedback.
I will give you true, honest to goodness, from stretch to warmth to the whole nine. You'll get the truth here.
Well, to reset the topic, the kook and current thing. By the way, everything that you just said ties in so perfectly with the next call that I'm going to play for you.
Great.
But before I play that call, I just want to reset the topic of kook and current to explain what we're talking about. This concept is that, bizarrely, there's certain things in surfing that only kooks do and only current does, or professional level surfers do, and nobody in between does. Like, no intermediate surfers do these things, but kooks do them, and the best surfers in the world do them.
Slathering your face with so much sunscreen that you can't even see skin.
Exactly. The zinc
current does it, and the kook does it.
Yeah. So I've got a list of these in the archive. I've probably forgotten to archive a few along the way, but just to give listeners an understanding of what's in the archive. I think I mentioned last week, GoPros on the nose of your surfboard. Only the kooks are doing it that are posting that footage on Facebook. And then,
Ian Walsh.
Ian Walsh, Anthony Walsh, any of the Walshes.
Yeah.
Rash guards over your wetsuit. Only the kooks at the surf school and the pros on the CT are doing that. Holding your surfboard with the wax towards your torso. I've seen Richie Collins do it. I've seen Barton Lynch do it. And then I've seen kooks do it. There's no intermediate that holds the wax towards their torso.
I wonder if a Curran-esque, if a Richie or a Barton do it just purely to thumb their nose at convention.
They seem like they would.
Yeah.
Front zip wetsuits. I've seen the shredder retro longboarder doing it, or the guy who put his wetsuit on backwards because he's that big of a kook.
Yep.
You never see an intermediate surfer wearing a front zip wetsuit, right?
Nope.
Gaff helmet. You only see guys getting shacked at pipeline, or a first-time surfer who thinks that you need a helmet to protect yourself, which, by the way, maybe you do nowadays.
Yep.
Having sponsor stickers on your surfboard. No intermediate surfer ever has that. You see, obviously, the pros who are actually sponsored, or the beginner who thinks it's cool to do, or they bought a hand-me-down and they haven't peeled the stickers off yet.
And or who bought a brand new one off the rack and went to the sticker case and said, I would like one of those.
Exactly.
Because they liked the stickers.
Exactly. Last week we added extreme stretching pre-surf. You never seen
a brilliant one.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant
one.
So
I thought of a new one that I'm going to present to you.
Great.
Which I witnessed during the Sunset event. Whitewash takeoffs.
I'm trying to think, though. I feel out at Seaside Reef here in Cardiff, there's all kinds of whitewash takeoffs
from intermediate surfers?
Amongst the intermediates. I think that the wave will break, and then they'll do the little chip in, and then off they go.
Okay.
Right?
Not including it then.
I feel like I've seen this. I feel I've seen a lot of chip ins in Australia too, like where the wave will hit off the rock outcropping and crumble, and then people just kick right in there, and then it stands up.
Okay, got it. Not including it then.
Okay.
It's freaking hard to do, man.
It's so hard to do.
Whitewash takeoff is so much harder than people would realize.
The wobbly when your board is just bouncing on basically foamy air.
Yeah,
it's not very cool.
Well, when I see it at sunset specifically during that event, I'm like, I would never make that takeoff.
Imagine how
it's way
those things are.
It would be easier for me to drop in at backdoor than a whitewash takeoff at sunset.
It's so true.
So, okay, then are we officially adding Quicksilver wetsuits or not?
I think the jury is out, because
it is.
I need to jury's out on Quicksilver wetsuits.
Got to think about it a little bit more.
Yep. But thanks, Chin.
Okay. Well, the other listener line call that I said related to everything that you were talking about. Here we go.
David and Chaz, barrel or nah? I was just watching the Stab How Surfers Get Paid, the episode about all of the brands that John, Julian, some other people started, and I had a barrel or nah. Barrel or nah, wearing those brands. At my heart, I love to shop at surf shops, support local shops, do all that, and should be wearing those brands because it'd be supporting surfers, supporting some people I like, who I've been watching on the world tour, who I've been watching kind of grow up and surf, who I really like. But I just can't bring myself to wear their brands because I feel like a tryhard. If I had a John hat with a little red flag on it, I would just feel like I'm trying too hard. Is that just me? Am I being the kook, or do I have a point here? I'm not sure. So let me know, barrel or nah, wearing those brands. Keep up the work.
I'm going to broaden this a little bit. He's talking about the specific surfer-owned brands, Outer Known for Kelly, John Florence. But I'm going to broaden it out to surf brands in general.
Okay, here's the thing. I think it is, when I got that XL wetsuit, I really wish that it came with an XL t-shirt, because I would have proudly thrown that XL t-shirt on. I think so there's tiers here, right? You have the kind of iconic brands that are not board, or not like Blue Star Alliance or Board Riders, right? And even with Board Riders, I'm going to say a nice clean Quicksilver t-shirt or Billabong t-shirt, right as rain, right? Like, of course, you're not maybe supporting like the core of the core of the core, but there's still way core people who work at all those brands, and you're supporting them, right? So I am going to say the legacy surf brands, go for it. Like everybody, I want to go out and start shopping. I really do want an XL t-shirt now to go with my XL wetsuit, right? Yeah. So I think legacy core brands back in, right? Go do it again. Go do it. Go, instead of shopping, getting a t-shirt at Old Navy or wherever crap, not that surf stuff is crap, but it's not like your top end t-shirt, right? Just get a surf branded t-shirt. Cool. Good. The surfer owned brands, this is a lot tougher because they are asking you, like the bigger legacy brands, no longer you defining your personality off of wearing that brand.
Right.
This listener is exactly right. If you show up in a John hat, there is either, look at this fanboy, which is rough. There is this guy thinks he's like cool for wearing a niche surf brand, which is tough. There's a lot of tough things to dings on the personality, right? But I did see you wear I do believe it was a jacket last week,
right?
A Florence Marine X.
Yeah, or at the beginning of this show, I took it off.
Oh yeah, Florence X Marine jacket.
Yeah, and
I saw that clearly labeled, iconic logo, not iconic, but identifiable logo. Yep. And I just thought, oh, David Lee is wearing Florence X Marine. I didn't think anything more than that, which maybe is a good sign, which maybe means that we should all be doing it, or at least try it out.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, it sounds like a superficial call. When you first play it, you're like, who gives a crap what clothing you're wearing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have had an inner conundrum about this exact thing for 20 years. I mean, probably back to when I was in high school, like which brand at that time, it did represent your personality more. Like Billabong had a brand identity. Quicksilver had a brand identity.
Now they don't, though.
They don't necessarily anymore. And I have the style of clothing that those giant brands are making, I don't wear anymore. Like I don't wear graphic t-shirts, period, full stop, And so, I probably did up until a certain point, but it was like, I re-entered the dating scene when I was 33, and I needed to reevaluate the way that I was dressing and the way that women were perceiving me, and wearing a surf branded graphic tee did not fit with the way I wanted to be perceived by that.
Yes.
So, but these kind of current brands that he's talking about, I would never wear former for the exact reason he's talking about. I would feel like a try hard. It just, I don't identify with former in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. And those, I mean, ultimately those are graphic tees as well, probably. But outer known, Florence Marine X fit my lifestyle much, much better. They're making gear like, you know, functional waterproof jacket. It's raining outside and I don't want water on me. So I'd rather buy, I've never owned any outer known stuff. So I don't wear that, but that's the type of stuff they're making, you know? And so if it comes down to buying a Patagonia slicker to keep me dry from the rain or buying a Florence slicker to keep me dry from the rain, I'm going to buy the Florence one because I don't have a personal connection to Patagonia. I do have a personal connection, and it's stylish is the other thing. It's not offensive to wear.
Here is the problem though, again, and this is the problem of, I think, surfer fronted brands, but it's not a problem for younger people. Like every kid should wear former or Florence X Marine or whatever, right? Like you as an adult looking like a fanboy is lightly off, right? I would feel the same.
If you are looking like a fanboy, then that's weird.
It's a little tough. Like,
yeah.
I love John John so much that I'm wearing John John's hat, right? Where, I mean, that's a tough one to pull off. This is all surfer fronted brands. That's why, I mean, I wonder how Outer Known does, because I mean, I suppose you have so many people in the office who think, oh, I surf, you know, once a year and no Kelly Slater. So this is cool. This makes me cool in the office. But for I can't imagine really wearing Outer Known. Oh, I'd take it back. I'm sure that if I had like an Outer Known sweatshirt or sweater, I wouldn't think anything of putting it on.
Yeah, but it doesn't make you a fanboy automatically for wearing it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is a version of that does exist, but I don't feel like I'm not doing it as a fanboy. I'm doing it because I need a specific product, and they make the best in class version of that product, and it's functional. You know, like if
it does make me ask questions though, a lot more than wearing Billabong, XL, Quicksilver, O'Neill. Like those don't rip curl. Those don't make me ask any questions, to be honest. Like if
they're saturated.
Yeah, like it's just you're wearing a t-shirt, right? And of course, if it's like a garish graphic on the back or whatever, then it's silly because it's a garish graphic. It's not silly because it's a rip curl t-shirt.
See, I feel like if it suits your personality, if it suits your style and your personality and it's functional, then it doesn't ask questions. But if I showed up in a former t-shirt, you would ask that question. So you'd be like, it doesn't suit David's style at all.
It's
like,
true.
What is he doing right now? Why is he wearing a former shirt?
That's true. But to your point, I suppose that Florence X Marine suits you. And so I didn't have any questions.
Exactly.
I noticed it, but it didn't put up any red flags, as it were.
Totally. Completely. Well, I guess we've solved that for him.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, I've got one more call that I need you to address.
Great.
This one's directly pointed at you.
Hey, David and Chaz, how you doing? This is Ryan, longtime listener from New Jersey. I think it's time for a new segment, or at least a one-off segment. It's called Bury the Hatchet. I just got done listening to Florida Boy featuring Ashton Goggins. And I was listening to him speak, and I was thinking about...
Real quickly, I'm going to interrupt. Kevin Miller and John Brooks at the Florida Surf Film Festival interviewed Ashton Goggins on their podcast, Surf Stories. So that's what this listener is referring
which
to.
lives on Surf Splendor Network, yes?
Yeah, exactly. So they interviewed Ashton. He's talking about, he just listened to that interview. So
the beef and the vitriol that both him and Chaz carried, I just kept thinking maybe it's time to bury the hatchet. The content that Ashton and Sav puts out has obviously been pretty first class, and has been more desirable to watch than anything that WSL is putting out, which goes without saying. Chaz's writing, the way he dissects the surf industry, comes up with, you know, not only clickbaitable stories, but just good content. Maybe the two need to work together. You know, maybe we continue to make content. Maybe we continue to grow this relationship and put out something better than what we're seeing with the WSL. But it's time to bury the hatchet to do so. I know the backstory. I know about the slap hurt around the world. But you know what? Time goes on. None of that really matters. What matters is that we give the surf fans what they want. And that's good storytelling and world-class content. Obviously the WSL seems to be, falling apart at the seams. So maybe this even can spawn some sort of new tour. I don't know what that looks like, but I think if they work together, good things will come of it. They just need to bury the hatchet. To quote Jack from Lost, we can either live together or we can die alone. That's all for now. Thank you again for all that you guys do. Keep up the work, and hopefully you guys get some waves in. Later.
Is it time to bury the hatchet?
Here's the beauty, David Lee Scales. I saw that Ashton podcast go live, right? On both, I think Surf Splendor posted it on Instagram, and so did Florida Surf Film Festival. I think so did our friends Kevin and John. And so I thought, well, this is great. Let's see what Ashton's up to. Click on his Instagram handle, Bellican Trading Company, and I'm still blocked. Can't see what Ashton's up to. All to say, my door is always open, right? I'm not the one who throws hissy fits and blocks people and calls cops and whatnot. My brand is to bury the hatchet. I got a good bury the hatchet story that I will someday share. That's so funny. My door is always open. My phone is always on. If Ashton ever wanted to call and laugh, that's the thing. I think that's the one thing I expect when coming through the door is a sense of humor. And I don't know that Ashton has one. So if Ashton could look back on those years and think it was funny, because it was funny, it was undeniably funny, right? From the little haberdasher, the whole arc of that story, the slap, the podcast fight, his girlfriend / wife screaming at me at a self-help seminar thing. I mean, if you can't objectively look at that and think it was funny, it was pointed but funny. But I think Ashton is not the sort to have a sense of humor.
Do you reserve any animosity towards him?
Zero.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Zero. Like that's why my door's always open. Hatchet's already half in the hole, right?
Yeah.
Forever, because I'm not doing this personally. I'm doing this out of good fun. And I get that he didn't think it was good fun, but if he could say, well, I saw that he was doing it out of good fun and wasn't funny for me, but whatever, I'm an adult and I was actually the one who called the cops, not him. So, I can laugh at myself now. Ashton doesn't seem like the kind of person who can laugh at himself.
I think he took it, all of it, he took super seriously because he probably felt like his career trajectory was jeopardized by each moment of it. And so then it felt very serious. It was dire to him. You know what I mean? Like he really loves surfing, wants to work in the surf industry, and it was kind of crumbling in a lot of ways. And so his job was probably threatened by the controversy that surrounded all of that.
I mean, you think so?
Well, whether or not it was actually, he probably thought that it was.
I don't think so. I think that Ashton, I think he's learned maybe. Ashton loves to think and talk and be about Ashton, right? Like I think he is fairly center of his own universe in a way that's not funny. Like the way that I'll make myself the center of the universe is just because then I can be the character who I can use that character, right?
Yeah.
I think Ashton thinks differently. I think Ashton feels that his art and his work and his contribution to surfing in the world is a serious thing. And I was maligning that, right?
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Ashton,
no, I think that's true.
Ashton, give a call. Like I would love to laugh, but it wouldn't be like, I'm not ever going to apologize for it. And so if there's an apology, it was funny. I'm sorry. I just apologized.
Did to this listener's point, to the caller's point, would you work with Ashton if there was a paying project presented?
For sure. I would love to.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to sit down and do another podcast with Ashton, right?
Ooh, man, gold.
All these years by, like, I would love for Ash to say, hey, what have you done? And let's talk about it. And let's talk about Stab and Beach Grit again, right? When was that podcast? 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happened in this 5 years?
I think it was 2018.
Let's discuss. But again, the fact that I'm blocked on Instagram and things like that is sort of indicative of hurt feelings and like hurt feelings at the beginning. Again, I've never blocked anyone on Instagram. And it's not that people have not made fun of me. People have made more fun of me than I've ever made fun of Ashton, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so, you know what, it shows a thin skin, but if it doesn't really show that, and I'm so happy.
Well, hey, whoever that caller was, direct your call at Ashton.
Yeah,
Send
hit Ashton up and
tell
say,
him to bury the hatchet.
yep, and tell Ashton to come on the show and let's have a chat.
That'd be
let's
amazing.
develop this project.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, how are you on time?
I'm good.
Okay, let's do 2 true grit or clickbait crap stories, and then we'll go to commercial, and then we'll go to barrel or not. True grit or clickbait. Quote, largely illiterate Southern California surfers flock to Ryder Symposium as Pulitzer Prize winner Bill Finnegan set to speak on the North Pole of irresponsibility, ! End quote.
It was true. It was yesterday. I missed it. But did you go?
I have no idea what this is.
Oh, sorry.
When
It was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. William Finnegan spoke at in La Jolla at Point Loma University.
Oh, nice.
At a Ryder Symposium. And I was just thinking about how every surfer you've ever known, right, has mentioned or talked about, read Barbarian Days. Anybody whose family or parents or friends know they're a surfer has been gifted a copy of Barbarian Days. Like, this was the one book, right, that transcended surfing. And I think surfing is probably considered largely illiterate. I mean, I've always said that my stuff is good because I am illiterate and write like an illiterate, right? And so
it's for an illiterate audience.
It's for an illiterate, and I've had I mean, I guess I've never said I'm not illiterate. I love to read, but like I'll get all the time DMs from people in, like, I just got one recently from some guy in, I think he was Peru, who was reading Cocaine and Surfing in English, of course, and DM me that he liked it, but and then apologizing, you know, I barely speak English. And so excuse the
Amazing.
DM, right? Which is like, that's who gets my stuff, which I love. I love that about it. I write for illiterate people. And William Finnegan, though, does not, but he has a big illiterate audience in surfers.
What is the North Pole of irresponsibility?
Surfing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Surfing is the North Pole of irresponsibility.
Was that a quote from Barbarian Days?
No, maybe. It was a quote in his interview about the speaking at the Ryder Symposium.
Gotcha. Okay. True grit then.
True grit.
All right. Number 2. Iconic California surf town Laguna Beach breaks toddlers' hearts and outlaws whimsical balloons.
It is so true. Not only whimsical ones, any and all balloons. You can no longer, as of 2024, have a balloon in Laguna Beach on public property.
What in the world does this policy relate to?
Anti-balloon hatred.
I mean, why? Are they going up into power lines and exploding things?
There you go. So A, fire danger. B, they go out into the ocean and choke sea turtles. And so our old friend Chad Nelson at the Surfrider Foundation, where we once got to podcast until the aforementioned Ashton Goggins incident, was behind this. So cheering loudly that this is the first step of banning balloons, which, man, like, I fully get it environmentally, but talk about looking like a wet rag. Like, you'd think that environmentalists would not want to forever be perceived as straight killjoys.
Yeah.
This one right here is such a killjoy vibe that I don't know why you take this one on, right? Like, even if you want it environmentally, you think, look at, we're already struggling with image. We're already telling people, hey, you drive too much. And we're always, you know, just the nanny who's barking no about everybody's fun. And so, you know, what's going to change that image is by outlawing balloons. Yeah.
It's also, is it actually a problem?
I mean, I think so. There's much greater problems, I would imagine, environmentally. Chad Nelson said, we are going to I think his quote was, we're going to start cleaning the ocean by taking one little piece out at a time, was ostensibly the quote. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, but there's like a kind of trash island now that's like the size of Alaska or something out there. Like I think
Used to be Texas, now it's
yeah,
Alaska.
I think we're sort of kind of maybe past the point of little
One at a
things.
time.
Like, can't we
Well,
like figure out how to go get like a ocean bulldozer to get but what are we going to do with the ocean plant? Like, yeah, I mean, obviously environmental issues are complex, but looking like a killjoy to me is, I don't know how that's a good brand.
I support Chad and I support the Surfrider Foundation, firstly and foremostly, but I would also like to run a real simple equation, which is like how much harms are balloons really doing ultimately versus how much joy and betterment are they providing, right?
Yeah.
And tremendous amount of, I can say this because I have a 15-month-old, tremendous amount of joy, like a ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also like the most innocent type of joy, the joy that like we are way too cynical to appreciate at this point in our lives. That type of joy that we should really be instilling in humanity is what a balloon provides.
Yep.
And what is the cost? How many sea
Turtles.
animals are being choked out by a balloon in a given year? If the number's less than 10 and the number of joy that it provides is, immeasurable, it could only be measured by a Richter scale or something, you know what I mean? Like, then we can't implement this law.
I mean, I would like for Chad Nelson and Surfrider, they're eminently intelligent, brilliant, probably. Isn't there a way to like get the balloon to like develop bio balloons or something, right? That disintegrate.
Yeah, totally.
Like go in and say, hey, we're going to create a whole in Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
We are going to create a whole new industry.
Agreed.
It's going to bring jobs. And guess what? Our balloons are going to be so awesome and so good and so colorful and so fun and so bio that they will replace balloons the world over.
Well, that's
Laguna
what they
Beach
did with
will be the
straws.
balloon capital of the world. Oh man. And see, that's a stinking thing. How many times do you drink out of a cardboard straw, which is great because they made a new straw, right? They said, hey,
yeah,
your plastic straw is polluting. I said, good. So long, plastic straw.
Right.
Here's a cardboard straw. I said, that straw is gross. I don't need a straw, right? But they gave me an alternative. They didn't say, you don't get a straw. They said, no, we're going to give you a better straw that it just so happened to be worse, but also reminded me that I don't need a straw.
Exactly. The bamboo straw is the only viable solution, to be perfectly honest with you.
We at this house use metal straws, for which I don't.
I hate those
I learned through the cardboard situation that I don't need a straw, so I will drink nothing out of a straw. But daughter loves sipping iced lemonade through her metal straw, which is wonderful, being environmentally conscious.
See, don't need the cardboard straw falling apart in my mouth. I also don't need the metal straw clanking against my teeth.
Nope, don't need it either.
So the bamboo, I have encountered a bamboo straw, and that is a good solution.
But this is what I'm saying, though.
I know. No, I hear you.
Is the straw industry gave alternatives.
Yes.
Whether they were good or bad, they gave alternatives. Laguna Beach I'm going to blame Surfrider here. Surfrider, I don't want to blame you, but shame on you, Surfrider, for taking joy and not giving any sort, could even be a bad alternative to that joy. Give me some alternative.
You know what would be interesting is to have some sort of an R&D arm of Surfrider Foundation, like, because if they figured out how to make a biodegradable, disintegratable balloon, that could then be a huge profit center for Surfrider and do tons of good work. Like if they introduce that to the market, it would replace all balloon sales within a year, I'd say, and they could just be the most successful nonprofit ever.
I hope that Chad Nelson is listening.
Yeah, me too.
And I would offer him our services to come up with, we've already talked about how great we are at making what we've loved pay. I'm going to offer him our services free of charge initially on Surfrider's R&D lab. We will develop products. Our first one will be this balloon, and we will only take a percentage of sales.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
This is part of our consulting business that we've started. Forgot about that. All right, cool. Problem solved. And true grit, apparently. Who knew? Okay. All right. Well, hey, we need to squeeze in a LinkedIn commercial for anybody who's looking for a job or wants to post a job. Why wouldn't you do it on LinkedIn? So let's
do what you love on LinkedIn.
Cue the music, cut away to commercial, and we'll be back with Barrel or Nah. All right, Chaz, we are back with Barrel or Nah.
Exciting.
Everybody's favorite. So here's the deal. We've been doing this show for 5+ years. People call in all the time with barrel or not suggestions that we've done in the past. And I don't have a way to reply to those calls. So this is my public announcement for everybody listening. If I've never played your call, it's not that it wasn't good. I mean, the question of flipping off a camera is a great barrel or not, but we've done it in the
massive one.
past.
It's a massive one.
It's a great one, but we've done it in the past. Somebody called this week front traction. My friends make fun of me, but I'm an intermediate, barely intermediate surfer. I'm a mediocre surfer, and the front traction prevents my front foot from slipping off. So I want to continue doing it, but everybody's making fun of me. I would love to play your call, but we've done it in the past. Go into the archives, find out the answer.
Dig in.
So I just want to let people know that real quick. I'm not ignoring you, but we've done it in the past. But here is a call that you almost, I think you referenced this earlier when you were talking about Kook and Curran, but here it is for barrel or not.
David and Chaz for the grit. Got a barrel or not for you that's kind of on par with last week's tan line barrel or not. Zinc on your face, leaving it on your face throughout the day. I know we've all done it. There's some situations where it doesn't really matter. There's some situations where you might end up at dinner. You might end up at a nice party with some zinc on your face. Sometimes you don't realize it because it's really faint. You can't really notice it in the sun until you're like in the bathroom and you see it all over your beard or all over your face. But sometimes I like it. Sometimes I like to, as Chaz has said, throw the surfer flag out there. Let everybody know I just had a really good surf. But I'll leave it to you guys. Barrel or not, zinc on your face throughout the day. Ciao.
What do you say?
Great call. And this is completely and entirely, I think, region/weather dependent. If you are in the tropics and you have zinc on your face for dinner that evening with the wife, barrel, right? It's hard to get zinc off. You're really gonna have to scrub it. And you're in the tropics. You're in a place where you needed actual sun protection. I will see people, we've done our PSAs here, right? We have prevented more skin cancer, you and I, than I would imagine the American Cancer Society at this point.
Agreed.
We are very sincere about our duties about skin cancer. We can throw in another PSA right here. Go to your dermatologist and check out that little thing. It's no big deal. Just cut it right off. But I see people on cloudy days in the winter in Cardiff by the Sea, fully zinced. And I'm like, what are you doing? Let your skin get some vitamin D for pity's sake. You are not going to go out here. There's no way, unless you're going out for a 17-hour session, you are not going to get sunburned.
So are you saying people doing it without having just come out of the water? Like people just wearing it?
No, I'm saying there's a time and a place for full zinc. The time and the place for full zinc is not cloudy winter.
Agreed.
There was a kid who went to my daughter's preschool, toddler zone school. He was like 3. His parents would send him every day, like cloud or rain, in a big brimmed hat, face fully zinced, where I think humans need a little bit of sun on their skin at some point, right? And so all to say, if you are going to your party and it was a cloudy day and you just zinc out of religious, you're zinking no matter what, then it's not cool. It is not a barrel. But if it was hot summer sun, you're somewhere tropical, you were surfing all day in the hot summer sun, and you go out with the remnants of zinc, barrel.
There's another thing that exists here too, which is like the Sunbum product that I use is a face stick. It's not zinc. Maybe it has zinc in it, but it's not full zinc, you know, but it's a face stick that leaves what looks like a heavy layer of foundation, like it's skin colored, skin tone. So it's not white, but you could tell, and it's very hard to get off. And
it's almost impossible.
Yeah. 3 hours later, you could tell that I have some sort of what looks like makeup foundation on. And that is where I feel this caller's question is like, gosh, it takes a lot. If I'm just going into the office, if I'm going to the grocery store, I am not going to go through the effort of scrubbing that off, going to the sink, scrubbing it off with face wash. I'm leaving it on. And if somebody at the grocery store happens to identify, oh, that guy must have surfed earlier, that's fine.
Great.
Or if they happen to think that guy's wearing foundation, that's fine too. I will deal with that. But if we were going out to a nice dinner
You would
if
scrub.
I have to change my shirt, let's say, to go somewhere, then I will go through the effort of scrubbing it off.
I'm going to say though, having a nice, again, this is all based on it being hot, it being a day that you needed to wear zinc. If you were out for a formal dinner, nice suit, black suit, white shirt, unbuttoned, just so, with remnants of zinc, that's a good look. You are an active man who did an active thing.
It might get on the collar though.
I mean, you got to watch that. But if there's flex on your face,
Okay.
action
All right,
man,
well,
I salute you.
I don't know if we solved that or not, but
It's a barrel. It's a barrel. But the day has to require zinc.
Okay. Fair enough. Barrel or not, number 2 from a listener again.
Hey guys, I've got a barrel or not. Polynesian tattoos on non-Polynesians. Is it cool to share the culture and the idea of inclusion and that spirituality and everything? Or is it cultural appropriation? Can't decide. They look cool, but if I'm not Polynesian, should I really have a Polynesian tattoo? Love to hear your thoughts, barrel or not. Thanks.
You.
Great point. I think it is okay to culturally appropriate tattoos as long as you've got like a mishmash couple of them, right? Where if you only have Polynesian tattoos and you're a white guy, but you're exclusive Polynesian tattoos, that's weird. If you only have one tattoo that's Polynesian and, you know, represented the trip you took to your great Polynesian surf trip, then
you and your wife, or you and your wife
that's like
honeymooned in
teenage
Tahiti.
girly, and that's also not cool. But if you have a Polynesian tattoo and a Japanese tattoo and some American classic, you know, tattoos and a mishmash, then you're all fine to do what you want. It's purely dependent at that point on having more than just Polynesian tattoos.
Do you think Polynesians are offended when they see a Midwestern white dude with a Polynesian tattoo, like pasty white skin with the Polynesian tattoo?
I think probably not offended, but they probably think that's a bad look, bro.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I know I'm not allowed to be offended, cisgender white male, but
Yep.
if I saw a Polynesian with a barbed wire, which is the classic American tattoo, barbed wire around the bicep, I wouldn't be offended.
No,
I'd
you
be
would
like,
think
go ahead, culturally appropriate our Midwest.
You would just think he made a mistake, right? You
made a huge mistake.
would have said, you have all those cool Polynesian ones, all the triangles, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's all at your disposal. And you chose something that's a little not that cool, but that was your choice, man.
Yeah.
You be you do you. But again, Polynesian tattoo, if you have like the half arm, the Zeke Lau Polynesian sleeve as a white dude, and that's all you've got, then go get something else real quick. Like go work something else into those triangles real quick, just to show that you are aware of your privilege in doing it, but also you are not Polynesian.
Correct. Maybe the Polynesian vacationed in the Midwest. Maybe he and his wife went to Yellowstone for their honeymoon, and that is why he got the barbed wire tattoo.
The inspiration.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Yeah. Or maybe inspired by Pamela Anderson's tattoo.
Could have been.
Okay. Final barrel or not also comes from a listener, but via DM. He was chiming in with something about sunset, I believe, and then said, "Oh, I've got a barrel or not for you, but I'm too embarrassed to ask." I'm like, well, now I have to know. What is it? Like, go ahead. And he's like, you might be offended. I'm like, cisgender white male, not allowed to be offended.
Not allowed.
Shoot. Bring it. He said, quote, "Okay, here it goes. Months ago, I saw on your Instagram stories that you kissed your baby on the lips. Every time I see parents do that, I wince. Barrel or nah, parents kissing their baby / toddlers / young children on the lips. I know many others do it, and I'm not a parent myself, but I don't see the desire to ever do that. For those who do it, my question is, at what age is it no longer appropriate to do so?"
Great. This might be in the barrel or nah Hall of Fame. It's a great one. I'm going to let you take this one first.
Obviously, I did it, so it's a barrel for me. But I will give you some philosophy behind it, the reason why I think it's barrel or not, the reason why I was inclined to do it, maybe. Because I didn't even think it was weird, actually, and I didn't think it was weird posting it. I didn't think anybody would think it was weird, you know. But I think that our culture specifically has way too strict boundaries on what is appropriate for male on male behavior. Like I went to India in 2003, and right when the plane lands, when I'm on my way to the hotel, I'm see men holding other men's hands on the street, and very affectionately, or arms wrapped around one another as you would with your girlfriend, holding hands like you would with your girlfriend, you know? And I was like, whoa, are those guys gay? Like, is there just a lot of gay people in India? And I was not aware of it, you know? And I really quickly either figured out or somebody told me, like, no, it's just part of their culture. Like, males are very affectionate with one another. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was new to me. But I realized from that and throughout other travels that we are the ones who are so regimented and anti kind of being affectionate with other males. And so I don't know if this listener's question is about the fact that my child is a male, or would he have felt that way if my child was a female, you know? But I think that it's okay to strip some of that back, to erode some of, not all interactions are sexual. You know what I mean? And certainly not with your own children. And if they feel that way to you, then that's a very indicator. That's weird that you're even feeling that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to express emotion and sentiment and affection physically in non-sexual ways. And it's actually probably, I would think, beneficial, especially for little kids, to feel that type of warmth and affection and all that sort of stuff. So that's why it's barrel.
I really appreciate your philosophy and your barrel, and I'm going to counter you with a no barrel. I have never done it. I never will do it. I am locked into my frigid, like your India trip. I went to Egypt, thought the same thing, right? Saw all the dudes interlocking fingers holding hands. Yeah. It's not just like, it's interlocking fingers. And if you're in Egypt and somebody's going to take you somewhere, 9 times out of 10, some man will grab you by the hand and interlock his fingers into yours and drag you off through the streets, right? Et cetera, et cetera. Yes, of course. Like, I appreciate it there, as that's what men do. That's not what American men do, David Lee Scales. American men do not kiss little children on the lips. And so
when you say it's something you don't do, you've never kissed your daughter on the lips?
I don't think so.
Ever?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's weird. That's weird, man.
It's weird that you don't. It's weird that you don't. She needs the affection. How does she know she's loved?
Yeah, should I tell her and stuff? Like, I grunted her. I grunted her sometimes. And
actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, I drive her to ballet all the time.
That's important too.
Stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I totally hear what you're saying, and I love that you are breaking that down. And I would hope for Austin's world to be like Cairo circa today, where there's men everywhere holding hands and lounging on each other.
When you talk about them grabbing your hands and interlocking fingers, don't need that. You know what I mean? Like, there is a boundary. Like,
that didn't happen to you in India?
I don't know. I don't think it did, but
Cairenes are all Egyptians are real. I mean, all Arabs.
Well, I guess while I don't want it to happen to me, I'm okay with culture moving towards that direction.
Sure, you're doing it. You're doing your part and moving culture ahead. I'm digging my heels in, saying nope.
So the other question, though, that he posed at the very end was, when is it no longer appropriate? And there is a real answer there. And I think the answer to that is when the child feels uncomfortable by it.
Except for, what if, say, Austin is just a great kid who loves his parents, right? Loves his parents, loves you, loves mom. You're dropping him off for first day kindergarten, and he goes up for the mouth kiss in front of all his friends. Do you do him a solid and say, nope, buddy?
Or your friends are going to make fun of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that does feel a little uncomfortable there.
Get away with it there, but
can he get away with it with his mom?
Say it's junior high. Say he's in sixth grade.
Totally not acceptable at that point.
Yeah.
So it happens somewhere between preschool and junior high, let's say. That is where we're dealing with. I'll report back. I'll let you know. And I'll try to talk through my feelings when I do it to let you know exactly where the crux lies. But I do think that he's allowed to get away with kissing his mom on the lips longer than he is with kissing me on the lips. That's for sure.
Yeah, but that even gets like, I mean, there's a pull by date on that pretty dang quick too. Like making out with mom.
not making out. That's
I hear you.
different.
I hear that you're desexualizing human connection. And I
Yeah.
like that you're doing that. But when I see that, I still think my initial thought, and you're right, I'm wrong. I am wrong for thinking, ooh, hot for mom. It's not a good thing to think. It's
That really
not an
does say
appropriate thing.
something. I mean, I don't think it says something directly about you. I think it's
It
more
does.
says something about our culture.
It does. I mean,
You're
it says something
you're
about
a
our
product
culture.
of our culture is the
And
problem.
we are like, I hear you. We are a frigid, especially the males. There is still a like, yeah, there's things you do and things you don't. And those are completely arbitrary, but they're baked in as, yeah, as things you do or things you don't.
Yeah, it's there was a time where it was I think it was beneficial to our culture to be that frigid and to just kind of focus on
The task at
growth and
hand.
expansion and getting things done and all of that. And now things are expanded and built and we're a world superpower. And I think it's okay to then now invest in the emotional, the EQ of our
Well,
male children.
I am hardening my young daughter up. That's what I barely hug her.
Bury the hatchet with her, man.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I can't. It's a hard world out there, kid. Go be tough.
All right. Well,
She gets enough affection from her mom. She doesn't need me.
Perfect. Did she get mouth kisses from her mom?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. See, there you
Yeah.
go. They're doing it right.
I mean, so girl on girl action is
Don't word it that way. Do not word it that way. Yeah, either way. Okay. Well, I think we've covered it.
Yeah, it's good.
I think we've covered it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, hey, great show, long show.
Yeah, Monster Pod.
Monster Pod. Thanks, listeners, for all the listener line feedback and all that. If you want to get in on that listener line, 760-237-0150. You can find it on surfsplendorpodcast.com. Right on, man.
I'm going to go out right now with my new superpower and see what I can listen in on.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Yep.
Do some good work out there.
I will.
All right, until next week.
Bon voyage.
Speaking of which, next week I am in Mexico.